Hello everyone, welcome to Analog IAS Current Affair Analysis for 24th November 2020. In this video, we'll be discussing a couple of articles. The first one is with regards to the measures that needed to be taken to increase exports in India. And the second one is an international relations issue. It is about the India Gulf relations. The first article, titled India Must Realize Its Export Potential, talks about the potential that India has with respect to exports and what it must be doing to increase the share of exports in our growth. If you take a look at the GDP growth formula, one of the most important components that can change the face of a nation's economy is the net trade. If we have a positive trade, it will automatically contribute to the GDP growth. Now, the reason why India wants to focus on self reliance and make in India is to realize this potential and increase the trade of India. Basically, we are trying to increase the exports. So, whenever we are talking about exports, one of the most important aspects that are discussed is the aspect of ease of doing business. So, we talk about structural reforms or factor market reforms that are needed, like labor, capital, or even to that aspect, we have been discussing about the skills needed to set up industries in our country. But this article takes a completely different approach. It talks about the quality aspect of our products. So previously, whenever we were talking about Chinese imports into our country, we talk about cheap quality products or cheap plastic products. But with time, things have changed. China has been producing some fine quality products, and the fact that today we are using phones made out of China speaks volumes about the growth of technology and the quality focus. So, in order to compete with such standards, we have to align our standards with the global expectations. In this context, one of the most important body is Quality Control of India, which is a body represented by three organizations which are representing the Indian industry. So ASSOCHAM or FICCI or CII, that is the Confederation of Indian Industries, together uh, decide the quality aspect of this products. So the nodal agency from the side of the government to implement these and to discuss about this is the Ministry of Commerce, specifically DPIIT or the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. So the basic objective is we have to try to focus on efficiency and quality at each and every stage of the production and also at the final product till it reaches the hand of the consumer, and also focus on the after sale service aspect of the product as well. Naturally, only then it will gain some credibility in the market. The second one is about the good laboratory practices. Generally, whenever we're trying to manufacture certain products, we don't have any such standards when you compare it with the European counterparts or even Chinese counterparts. So, in this context, India can take the help of OECD manuals and other best practices that are followed elsewhere to improve that quality aspect. So, these paragraphs talk about further details which are not really significant when we're talking from the mains perspective. So, we'll move on to the next aspect of the article, that is the stability and dependability of our policies. So, whenever investor comes into our country, he expects two things. One, a policy stability. For example, imagine a private player coming into our country to participate in agri trade. If there are certain restrictions on the export of the products that are produced from the agricultural produce in our country, then he will not be able to sell that produce elsewhere, and he finds it very uneconomical to sell the produce only within our country. So such sort of policy measures should be addressed. Say for example, recently we have had the Essential Commodities Act, but within a couple of weeks itself, the government was forced to impose the Essential Commodities Act, citing a price rise beyond 50% for onions. Similarly, we see such trends whenever we're talking about products like sugarcane as well. So, this sort of unpredictability is very dangerous when we're talking about attracting investments. It is not just pertinent to agricultural sector, but the logic applies elsewhere as well. The next one is with respect to technology. Say, for example, this article talks about the potential that Ayurveda and other alternative medicines that India has, and the export potential that these products have. Say, for example, there are a lot of companies which are producing these aromatic oils with a Ayurveda tag, which have a huge market overseas as well. But the reason why we are not able to encapsulate the imagination of our overseas buyers is because there is no economies of scale, firstly, and secondly, there is no marketing for the small players who are involved in the trade of this sector. So, what the government can do actually is ensure that these small players come together in the form of cooperatives, or even the farmer produce organizations can organize themselves as companies and come forward and market their own product. The government can help them through hand holding support and other initiatives like integrating them with e-commerce giants like Amazon, etc. So these are the quality aspects that our government must focus upon, apart from the usual land, labor, capital, other structural reforms on enhancing the ease of doing business. So that is the gist of this article. The second article for the day is taken from the Indian Express and it is titled "Time to Bridge the Gulf." So after the pandemic has initiated a reverse migration of Indian blue collar workers, we sort of reached out to the Gulf states, which are the rich oil states, where they have been traditionally viewed through the lens of religious affiliations of the stakeholders involved in that region. Also, in the present times, with the recent Abraham Accords as an example, where certain conservative Arab players like UAE opened diplomatic channels with Israel, which is generally considered to be a historical impossibility a few years ago. So, this reflects the infrastructure development that is happening in the Gulf region, the changing perceptions, and how they can actually help our Indian economy. We know it for a fact that the Gulf region significantly is based on oil economy, and the world is moving away from fossil fuels, and it is pertinent that these countries eventually make a transition towards other sect of areas, and they move towards a phase of capitalism or generation of wealth that is not dependent on these fossil fuels. So times are changing there as well. If you take a look at the current scenario for India and its foreign policy, the West Asia holds a significant quote for strategic, economic, and even domestic political agenda as well. India gets nearly 60% of its oil needs or the energy reserves from the West Asia itself. So, for example, if you take certain accounts into consideration, India can save up to $1.35 billion for each dollar drop in oil price. But one of the major problem with our diplomatic relations is the fact that we have seen the Gulf only through the lens of energy security, but we haven't looked at the Gulf region beyond this. So one of the opportunity that the present government has is to break down this narrative of looking at Gulf only as a source of either employment generation for Indian diaspora or as a source of oil or our energy security. It is in this context we have to understand the renewed focus on Khaliji, or what is called the Gulf capitalism. So today, with the younger generation and the younger folks in the Gulf region realizing the potential of the future, have moved away from their traditional structures based on theology, and they are slowly migrating towards sectors like banking, finance, infrastructure, logistics, and this opens up a huge um room for employment generation in our country by attracting investments. So we can look at the Gulf as a source of our FDI. And during the last 6 years, India's perspective on the Western Indian Ocean has also changed. Traditionally, we have seen the focus of our establishment being focused on areas like Mauritius when we're talking about the Indian Ocean. Now, it is time that when we're talking about the Gulf, we have to integrate the Gulf in the Indian Ocean region and make them partners in the what is called as blue economy. So this article suggests five key points which are important to secure the relationship with these Gulf nations. The priorities that we have at this moment is, firstly, we have to get over this pandemic troubles that are creating waves of economic distress. Secondly, using this FDI as a source for investments in our country. Thirdly, we have to tap into the different possibilities of this region and use it for our diplomacy, for shaping international opinions. Fourthly, the Gulf must be looked at as an important stakeholder in solving regional conflicts, say, for example, the conflicts in Afghanistan. As times have changed, there are changes in the traditional societies of these Gulf nations as well. Previously, women did not have the kind of rights that they enjoy today. So, in Delhi must take cognizance of this fact that the society is changing, and the perception as a mere religious fundamental power should be shunned away, and they should be open to dialogue and discussion on various issues that are relevant for securing a rules based world order as well. That is the gist of this article.